Welcome to the SIMSWeb remote connection video. My name is Ken Utley, President of SIMS, and the purpose of this video is to assist in the understanding of the SIMSWeb, identifying its purpose, and demonstrating how it fits into the line of products provided to your central station. The SIMSWeb was designed initially to provide dealer or third-party access into the SIMS2 database and historical information. This access was designed to be accomplished through the existing World Wide Web or Internet. SIMSWeb now provides an extensive report generation, including dealer morning reports, client database, and historical daily, weekly, and monthly reports. Expanding on this concept, SIMSWeb also allows creation and editing of client databases through direct or delayed staging so the central station personnel can review and approve database changes. The SIMSWeb server, located at the central station facility, does require a dedicated connection to the Internet, and the bandwidth of your connection to the outside world will control the number of successful simultaneous connections to the SIMSWeb. From the remote perspective, connection to the SIMSWeb can be accomplished through all sorts of Internet accessing medians, including dial-up, DSL, cable modem, and T1 connection. If database changes are to be done remotely, it is recommended that the remote connection be dedicated to the World Wide Web. SIMSWeb uses the latest functionality of today's web browsers, and Internet Explorer version 5.5 or higher should be used. Should you have an older version, you may update to version 6.0 or later by visiting the Microsoft Windows Update site. You may determine your version by looking at the web browser's help and the About. What are some of the advantages of SIMSWeb? SIMSWeb allows access through the local ISP to the SIMS database located anywhere in the world. SIMSWeb is provided complete with a Dell PowerEdge server ready for the connection to your ISP. Now let's take a look at SIMSWeb operationality. To facilitate this overview demonstration, we will log into the demo SIMSWeb located at SIMS offices in Dallas, Texas. Okay, we're going to use the username SIM and the password 002. This will allow us to access into the SIMSWeb. Since 002 has not been set up inside of the SIMSWeb, and this is our first access into the SIMSWeb, we're going to have to first set up our system configuration user preferences. We'll start this by putting in our name, followed by our email address. The template language will be English for our circumstances. Sliding search is disabled. Search selections, all matches. Report lines per page. If we choose the printer line test, it will print us out a sheet of paper that will give us the ability to count the number of lines on our printouts. In my particular case, I've already done this, and I know I need to set my setting for 60 lines per page. We're going to set our offset from the GMT to Central Standard Time. Yours, of course, would be set by whatever local central station time, or whatever local remote time that you're utilizing. In our particular case, DST is currently not being observed. Now we can save our configuration and then go to Home. At this point, this is our standard entrance into the SIMSWeb when coming in from a remote connection. I'm going to spend a minute and go into Edit Account. We're going to use the short form of putting in account numbers, which is a single receiver, single line, and a 4-digit account number. We could select a group or class, but I'm just going to leave it as it is for the moment. It will then bring up a selection of how many accounts match the search criteria. In this case, there's only one, and we will view the database for this account. I'll move it into a space so that we can see the complete thing. And notice this is the premise information. There is a premise page, a zone page, call list, schedule, comments, equipment, mail, and accounting page. This follows very closely to the way the Sims for Windows was set up, and you should see some direct similarities between that, the Sims for DOS, and the current SIMSWeb. We'll use the click buttons whenever possible. Notice whenever I change a field for the first time on any page, I will immediately get up to Save or the Reset. The Reset will remove any changes that have been done on this page. The Save will, of course, save it, and you can go on to the next situation. Let's go to the Zone page. Notice that since I haven't clicked Save, it's going to ask me if I want to save it, and I will go ahead and answer yes. It then takes the page 1 information, writes it to the central station, and it's a good time to mention that writing information to the central station can be one of two ways, either directly into the database, where it then appears immediate, or it could be a staging. In that case, it would require central station personnel to review the change you've been made before they can go on and store it into the main central station database. In our case here, we'll notice that the options below, and I'm going to move my page down just a slight bit there. Every time I click on a different zone, we'll notice the options change below. So this is a moving window that allows access in various ways. Now let's move it back to the top and go to the call list page. On the call list page, we're going to pick up something very nice. A lot of times we get involved in wanting to change the order of the contacts. In this case, if I want to move Evan Horvath up in the contact list, it's accomplished very simply. If I want to move it down, just the opposite direction. In this case now, we're going to now go to the schedule page, and it will save that information and now bring up the schedule page. If I go back and visit the call page, then it's put back to the same way it was. So always remember, if you're going to change something, make sure you click the Save. And that ensures that that information has been written out. In this case, we have a staging set up. Notice it gives the time and date, gives the update number so they can follow through your change. And we'll just go on to the next part. We'll now move on. Now notice we have not seen the change. I'm sorry, we did see the change. And now we can move on to the schedule page. In the schedule page, very similar to the setup that's in the Sims for DOS or Sims for Windows. We won't get a lot into scheduling right now, but I'm sure that those that deal with schedules have a very good feel for how that works and how the movements through there take place. Let's go by the comments page. Here again, we keep valuable information. Activity begins. Comments about the account, the global codes for the global schedule entries, so forth like that. The equipment page follows suit along as the zones and contacts did. There is a moving window again, and then depending on which one you click, the information below changes. The mailing page. The mailing page again has got the mailing information where the reports are to go to typically, along with the service scheduling so they can take care of that. There have been many fields added over the years. They are maintained within the SIMSWeb. And so when we feel like we've completed this, we can just close it out since we have been saving the information as we went from page to page. And just again, remember what happens here whenever we make changes. As soon as I go to the next field, that information is kept. And then I can reset this if I want. And it brings back the original information. Okay, whenever I'm done with the account, I've saved everything I want to save, I can simply click the X and it clears the account out. I would like you to notice one thing, and I've got our resolution turned down so you can get a much clearer picture here, but I'm going to minimize Tequila Willie's while I go in and grab another account. So it certainly is possible for us to edit multiple accounts at the same time while we're doing reports. Again, I'll move this up just slightly so we can get everything within our screen. I'm looking at account 2. Then I'll just go down, bring up account 1. Here's the premise page on 1. Again, I can take it out of there. We've got count 2. I can pull account 2 out, minimize it, go to the next. I could, in fact, go over here, pull a history report. I'm not putting a date in because I've got some history in there that I'm just going to pull up just to show you. Again, we'll pull this in there just a little bit tighter. So now I've got a page of history and multiple other pages going on that can be done at the same time. Okay, let's close all these back out so we can get all straight. Let's go back to home. And let's try this. Let's do a history report. All events detail, and I'm going to pull it up for the same account I just pulled it up for a moment ago, Tequila Willie's. Bring him up. I'm going to view the report. It's only for today's histories because I didn't put a date in there, which is just fine. Bring it up so we can see the complete page. Now notice I can print this at this point simply by clicking on the print button. I've shipped this out to my own printer right now. I could have emailed it. I've now also sent this report out by email. So you can see it was emailed to ken@simsweb.com. I could have saved it to a disk file. Saved in different file types. I'm just going to save that one right there. So I've got 3 different ways I can take care of reports. Now I'm going to close this one out right here and bring you by or take you by just a couple of other things. Let's look at a database listing. Let's look at full account. This is for printing full files, what we refer to as the print full file capability. Again, let's say the customer, or you wanted a copy of the customer's database. Doesn't have to be the customer. Bring that up there like that. And I could email it to bingo. I'm now shipping this print full file of the database right out to the email, which could be to a customer or a technician or whatever kind of purpose that I wanted to actually send it out to. There are all kinds of database reports. There are account listing reports. Let's look at a summary listing of accounts. We won't have to put anything in there. This just shows you a full listing of all the accounts that are in the system. I could, they're all checked. I could just come up and view them all. Can resize that. And again, I'm just sending out all the accounts, but I could have shipped this out to a dealer so he saw a list of all his accounts. Could have been coming right back to him remotely there. You'll also find the client verification forms with and without passcodes. I won't ship this out to anybody. I don't think it's really necessary. I should have brought your attention. You will notice, let me just take us right back to there because it'll just take a second. Notice when we're doing the verification form, I can modify that information that prints out on there if I want to. Okay, so let's just come here. Pick a different account. This is the client verification form, of course. I think many of the SIMS users are familiar with this. This is the one that goes to the customer. Has a lot less information on it and a little bit easier for them to understand. We have a verification condensed form. Let's just take a quick look at him. This has a little less information on it than the other client verification form has. This is to trim things back a little bit, make it a little bit easier to understand. And of course the full account database we looked at. Under the history reports, there are all events reports. There are open closing reports. Miscellaneous, which could be more of the dealer exception report. Work order history can be printed out. I believe we might have one for Tequila Willie's. Well, let's just see which ones we have. We have lots of work order history in here. I think I'll clear all. I'll just do Tequila Willie's, and we'll just view the one. Oh, there was none in there for the work order history for this particular one. That would require that we currently have it in history. I don't think I've saved any over there, so we're going to have to just know that on a live database, and of course I can't show a live database in our brief demonstration here because of security concerns, obviously, with customers. There's also audit trail information that can be brought up. I think those of you that deal with the SIMS 2 remember the audit trail. It talks about database changes. Also note that when things are staged into the Central Station database, they do show up on the audit trail. So the remote connection has the ability to track to make sure that those things have done. Let's go down here and take a little look at out of service. We have one account that is out of service. It's code A0. Looks like he's out till tomorrow. He's out for 24 hours. We could also look at how to modify the out of service status. Okay, and let's just say that we want to do it on that particular client. This is also a way we could put people out of service. Notice he's in there for that. I could simply take our calendar, put him out for another day if necessary. We also want to put people out of service. We can do that from this modification of out of service again. Let's just say that we want to put Tequila Willie's out of service. We'll do him. And again, we can choose however we want to. Test OUS entry. We can say begin today, go till Friday. Do special ones. Now there are 2 people out of service. This total account is out of service. We also can spend a moment and take a look. I'm going to come back to the home here just to get started over again for the fresh screen. Let's look at signal traffic. We want to open up a traffic window. Let's bring him up and resize him into what we want. We can look at different dealers. We'll look at Acme. We can show the detail or not. I'm going to say not for a moment. Click View. And we'll see. This is the traffic file that is kept separate from the working file that the central station has. Generally, we'll create one of these for each one of the dealers, and that they can go and look and see their last, I believe it's last 150 or 200 signals that have been received in by the central station, and it's a single line composite that's added into whenever a signal for that dealer comes in. Now this is for group Acme, but I could have just as easily come back and picked up another one. Let's see about Sims here. Oops, I'm sorry, I left that thing on Acme. My mistake. Let me come back here and try to be a little bit better this time. Here we go. Now I know that Acme is all of the odd account numbers, and I know that Sims is all the even account numbers, so now I see a different traffic display for this. You can set that traffic display. In this case, we're going to refresh every 5 minutes, but you can see you can pick all kinds of different things, so it's every 15 seconds if that's what you want. So every 15 seconds it'll go and refresh itself again. We try to give them the ability and suggest that they do 5 minutes just to keep the traffic, unnecessary traffic, off the internet and to not bog the system down with any unnecessary connections. Okay, let's clear this off now. We can go back to home. I think this should have given us a pretty clear and comprehensive understanding of the SIMSWeb from the remote side and what needs to be accomplished. Again, let's stress several things. That the speed that you're going to be working with is directly proportional to the bandwidth of the connections that are using between the SIMSWeb computer and the remote connection. Obviously, if you're on a dial-up remote connection, you're not going to be as fast as if you were on a DSL line. But with the cost of some of these things, especially in North America, you can have some very, very effective bandwidth these days. Okay, this is Ken Utley, and I'd like to again thank you for your attention and hope you've enjoyed it.